This is one of the worst-run organizations in sports. The owners gallivanting around to NBA games and airports and stadiums, and look at your product, Jimmy. Oh, my God.
We're going to do our work on the quarterback market. It's too important of a position, and it's something that has to be solidified. I can't sit here and tell you today, whether the solution or the starter in 2026 is internal or external, but it's something that we're going to work through.
I want to know how much longer the owner's going to watch this crap, because the fans have had it. We deserve better. You're worried more about your stadium than you are your football team. That's the perception, Jimmy. And you allow these people. It's a joke. It's a joke. This franchise has become a joke. And I'm sick of it.
The Cleveland Browns just dropped a bombshell. After 6 seasons, head coach Kevin Stefanski is gone. The organizational shakeup that everyone in Cleveland saw coming has finally arrived. But here's where this story takes an absolutely wild turn. The general manager who hasn't fixed the quarterback problem in 6 years just got promoted to run the entire football operation. And Cleveland radio legend Tony Rizzo, he's absolutely livid.
A guy who has not produced a quarterback in 6 years.
The Browns just wrapped another disastrous season. 8 wins over the last 2 years. 8! Let that sink in. That's organizational dysfunction at its absolute worst. This franchise, the same one that's been desperately hunting for a franchise quarterback since the Clinton administration, just watched rookie signal caller Shedeur Sanders show real promise across 7 starts. The kid engineered a clutch game-winning drive against the Bengals in Week 18. When everything was on the line, he came through. So naturally, when Browns GM Andrew Berry steps up to the podium, everyone's expecting clarity. Everyone's expecting a definitive statement about the most important position in all of football. Everyone's expecting something that resembles an actual plan. What did Browns fans get instead? Corporate nonsense, Ivy League double talk, the kind of non-committal answer that makes your blood boil when you've been trapped in quarterback purgatory since 1999.
How will the quarterback question affect the head coaching search?
Well, it's certainly something that we're going to talk about a lot with the candidates, but it's maybe a little bit less on their particular view of the quarterback situation and more about their thoughts and planning for it.
Berry refused to commit to Shedeur Sanders as the starting quarterback for next season. Not even close. He talked about doing his due diligence, exploring every option, weighing internal versus external solutions. It's the kind of wishy-washy, playing both sides response that sent Rizzo into a complete meltdown on his morning show. And you know what? Rizzo's got every reason to be angry. Here's the thing about Andrew Berry that drives Browns Nation insane. This is the same guy who's overseen arguably the worst quarterback situation in recent NFL history. Look at the track record. 6 years as general manager. 6 years of complete failures at the most critical position in football. Baker Mayfield, shipped out. Deshaun Watson, that catastrophe deserves its own 30 for 30 documentary. The endless parade of backup quarterbacks who rotated through Cleveland reads like a bizarre game of NFL trivia. Wait, that guy played for the Browns? And now, owner Jimmy Haslam just handed this same executive total control of the football operation. The same Andrew Berry who apparently earned his quarterback evaluation credentials from the school of throwing darts blindfolded. The same GM who assembled a quarterback room so dysfunctional that Rizzo can barely maintain his composure when discussing it on air. But here's what makes this truly insane. Shedeur Sanders just gave you 7 games of legitimate film. 7 games where he demonstrated poise in the pocket, flashed real arm talent, and showed the competitive edge you absolutely need from a franchise quarterback. The kid drove down the field with everything hanging in balance against Cincinnati and set up the game-winning field goal. That's not just another footnote. That's not a prospect you casually brush aside with corporate buzzwords about doing your due diligence. That's a building block. That's genuine hope. That's exactly what this tortured fan base has been starving for. Yet Andrew Berry can't even give Browns fans the basic reassurance of saying, Shedeur is our quarterback moving forward. Not even a firm endorsement, not even mild enthusiasm, just more executive hedging from a front office that's been hedging for 6 straight years, while the quarterback position has completely imploded. Rizzo isn't buying it, Cleveland isn't buying it, and honestly, nobody with half a brain should be buying it. The timeline here is critical. Jimmy Haslam admitted yesterday that the next 120 days will determine this franchise's direction for the next 3 years. 120 days to hire the right head coach, 120 days to solve the quarterback crisis, 120 days to nail the upcoming draft, 120 days that will either rescue or completely destroy this organization.
The next 120 days, 120 days, are crucial for this franchise. And it will decide what happens to this franchise for the next 3 years.
And who's in charge? A general manager who's never hired a head coach before. A general manager whose quarterback evaluation track record falls somewhere between complete disaster and historically terrible. A general manager who just told the entire city he can't even commit to the one silver lining from this nightmare season. The math doesn't work here, folks. Let's be real about what's actually happening. Andrew Berry is protecting himself. He's creating escape routes. He's keeping options open because that's what executives do when they're absolutely petrified of being wrong again. But here's the harsh truth. This franchise is completely out of time for playing it safe. This franchise doesn't have the luxury of running another year of quarterback roulette. Browns fans have survived 25 years of this exact script, 25 years of open competition at quarterback, 25 years of signing washed-up veterans, drafting raw projects, and hoping some undrafted free agent magically transforms into a star. It's exhausting, it's soul-crushing, and it's exactly what Andrew Berry is setting Cleveland up for in year 7.
2 years is crushing the fan base. You know, you admit it about yourself. How fast can you, I guess, get to where your team is watchable again and, you know, just a better product?
Yeah.
So, Berry admits Shedeur came through in clutch situations. He acknowledges the kid delivered when the pressure was highest, but he still won't name him the starter. Somebody explain how that makes any sense. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders is sitting there wondering if his own team even has confidence in him. The kid just completed his rookie season. He showed enough ability that any competent franchise would be building around him, investing in his development, and committing resources to unlock his full potential. Instead, Cleveland's out here discussing shopping the quarterback market, evaluating external options, keeping every possibility on the table.
Just, maybe just as hard because of all the different challenges and things that you face. And so what we're going to do, we're going to ensure that we have a process that is well defined in terms of what we're looking for and what the role will be specific to our organization.
Translation? We're not sold. We're hedging our bets. We're protecting ourselves. That's not how you develop a young quarterback with genuine talent. That's how you destroy his confidence before he ever gets a real shot. And Rizzo sees exactly what's going on. This isn't about blind devotion to Shedeur Sanders. This is about organizational philosophy. This is about whether the Browns have learned anything from 2 decades of total chaos. This is about whether Andrew Berry understands that refusing to commit at quarterback is a decision, and it's almost always the wrong one.
I'm not going to sit here for the next 6 bleeping months and just rail on Andrew Berry. It's not going to happen. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to do what we do for everybody. We're going to do what we're going to do for the new head coach. God knows who that's going to be.
The irony here is absolutely incredible. Kevin Stefanski got fired partly because the offense went stale, because quarterback development completely flatlined, because pre-snap penalties and ultra-conservative play calling made Browns games unwatchable. But who built the roster that created those problems? Who constructed the offensive line that couldn't protect anybody? Who assembled the receiving core that couldn't create separation?
I think when the outside looking in, when there's a split where you remain, Kevin is let go, it almost gives off this sense that maybe there was a divide between you two.
Andrew Berry survived while Kevin Stefanski took the fall. And now, Berry wants Cleveland to trust him with the most important decision this franchise will make in years. The same executive who completely whiffed on the quarterback position for 6 straight seasons now wants to explore all options instead of backing the promising rookie who just demonstrated real ability. It's madness. It's Browns football in its purest form. It's exactly why Tony Rizzo is absolutely destroying the Browns front office this morning. Here's what absolutely destroys Browns fans, and Rizzo hammered this point home. Berry actually had a strong draft last year. He finally showed signs of genuine improvement. The talent evaluation looked sharper, the team got younger and more dynamic. For the first time during his entire tenure, you could see an actual vision emerging. You could see a coherent strategy developing.
Is Andrew Berry trending in the right direction? Yes. Yes. That's not a made-up take. That's not a pro Andrew Berry, his uncle's take. He's trending up. He had a good draft. Not the draft we need, but a good draft. Solid players, 4 to 5 players, and Shedeur is your wild card.
And then he opens his mouth about the quarterback situation, and all that goodwill evaporates instantly. Because if you can't solve the quarterback position in the NFL, absolutely nothing else matters. Not your dominant defensive line, not your talented offensive tackles, not your expensive edge rushers. Without a quarterback, you're just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. The quarterback market isn't exactly loaded with solutions either. Who's Andrew Berry going to find that's obviously better than Sanders? Some aging veteran chasing one last paycheck? Another raw draft prospect who'll need 2 full seasons before he's ready to compete? The grass isn't greener anywhere when you've been wandering through quarterback hell for 25 years. Shedeur Sanders represents something Cleveland hasn't had in forever: legitimate stability. The kid showed enough that you can confidently build around him and declare he's our guy for at least the next 3 years. You can design an offensive scheme built around his strengths. You can hire a head coach who's genuinely excited to work with him. You can finally establish real continuity at the position for the first time since Bernie Kosar wore the orange and brown. But that takes genuine courage. That takes real conviction. That requires Andrew Berry to look himself in the mirror and acknowledge he might have actually gotten something right with the Sanders selection. And based on his press conference performance, that's apparently too much to ask. Rizzo's fury speaks for every Browns fan who's completely done with the same tired playbook, who's sick of hearing about competitions and thorough evaluations and doing our due diligence, who just wants their franchise to commit to a quarterback and stick with him long enough to actually discover if he's the answer. The Cleveland Browns have 120 days to get this critical decision right. The clock is already ticking, and based on Andrew Berry's total refusal to commit to his promising rookie quarterback, it's shaping up to be another massive failure from the factory of sadness. Some things never change in Cleveland, and that's exactly why Tony Rizzo is absolutely destroying the Browns front office this morning.